So in virtual reality, when you grab an object, you move the hand, and you're not going to see anything. You're not going to have any problem with that transition. Never going to notice even. So it's all little things like that, and we start to understand how our brain works and thinks about it. Same fill in post-processing. Right? You render the image, and then it's counting on top of the image. So it becomes very costly for you frame it, and also general cost thinking. But also depth of field, yeah, think about that. It's very difficult. Blur, that doesn't exist in real life. Motion blur doesn't exist in real life. We don't have that. That's only something in the movies. Those will work, and I put them red costly, lesser costly, okay? And those, why you can use them, and we're going to show how you apply that. Okay. I just wrote that some of my favorite VR games I played. Anybody has a keep talking and nobody exposed? It's funny, eh? If you never heard about it, type in and look for the trailers, and type in fighting couples playing keep talking and nobody exposed. You're gonna see it's so funny. It is a game where one person is in the virtual world and the one is not. One has a manual to tell the other one how to play the game. And the manual is specific, really bad written. So they really get in a fight. It's really hilarious. Yeah. But okay, one thing I want to point out is the future of VR is moving. Okay. It's very interesting. They did a research with Gear VR users. What is the biggest complaint you have? And you would think, well, maybe frame rate, movement. Oh, no. The biggest complaint was, my family is complaining that I'm totally isolated from them. They're not in contact anymore with them. That was the biggest complaint. So, solving that multiplayer feature that you can play together will connect a lot. No. I had the luck to see one of the early multiplayer versions at Oculus. It is amazing. So, what is it? You put a device on, and somebody else in another place of the world puts the device too on, and you look, and there you see a head. When you speak, the mouth is moving. But when you know what the other thing was? All to the person. It's a whole different location. When you walk up, you have the sense of personal space. When the face comes back, automatically step back. You see everybody, whoa, whoa. But it's virtual. And personal space is the same in real life and in personal. Okay. No, hey, that's part one. Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do now, okay. I'm going to take you through my last PowerPoint. No, that's sorry. I'm going to go here. I opened the wrong one. Okay, file. Open more. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. So this view. Okay. I don't know how to work. You get only a small one. VR is all about one eye. Okay. Hey, I told. Yeah. Oh yeah. You should do now. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna have John very fast talk, and then I'm gonna bore you again. Yeah. Okay, I know you have to get your point. So the campus in Iowa can okay. And Hilo or Iowa? Hilo. Yeah.
My Hilo will not be able to see these slides. That's like
what was that?
Hilo will not be able to see your slides. Okay. Well, actually speak to it. Okay. I'm going to do my best and find the camera so they can. Okay.
Jason, how about if you point the camera at the screen?
Yeah, I gotta move the camera out.
Cool. So hey guys, my name's John. So I work at Facebook. So I have to ask the question: how many people have heard of Facebook? Everyone's hands probably go up. We're doing a lot of interesting stuff. Carl talked a lot about Oculus, which Facebook owns that as well. I actually don't work on the Oculus team. I work on the Facebook Games team, and we have this new product that I'm going to talk to you guys about. Just to give you guys some quick stats about Facebook. If you don't already know, it's available to the public. So Facebook has about 1.7 billion users.
A little bit louder, sorry.
Oh, sure. So Facebook has about 1.7 billion users that use the platform. That's about 1/3 of the planet. 650 million users are gamers on Facebook. So, here's the PowerPoint. That consists of people playing mobile games, people playing games on Facebook.com, people using our APIs for Facebook login in console games. There's gaming taking place all over Facebook, which is awesome. On Facebook.com, or just Facebook games in general, last year we paid about $2.5 billion to developers like yourself, and that's just, through like revenue splits, 70-30. There's all sorts of things that we sort of pay out money to. And then I think we make anywhere between $6 to $7 billion at Facebook.com. So if you didn't know, if you go to Facebook.com, you can play games on there. So right now, sort of the target audience is very casual. So a lot of games we have on there, you've probably seen like the notifications a few years ago, which I'll tell you an interesting story with that. But like Candy Crush, Farmville, there's all sorts of games that are available on Facebook that you can play right now. Which is great. There's a huge active user base there that just has tons of games. The average gamer that plays games on Facebook spends about 43 minutes playtime. So they're generally there for a lot of time. If you look at like Facebook.com, most people that play those games usually play during work, which may not be a good or a bad thing, but they're still engaged with that type of content. So, sort of our key focus right now at Facebook is to work with developers to help them build their games, grow their audience, and monetize, right? Facebook has a lot of tools. So if you go to developers.facebook.com, you can get a list of all like the APIs and SDKs that we have available for you to integrate with your game. In terms of grow, we want to be able to leverage our significant audience base with you guys. So people come and play your games. And then the cool thing about Facebook is when you have your game on Facebook, you get access to this huge audience that you can market your game to, right? So we have our ads manager that you can reach, and you can do things in terms of where you can send people to quickly download your game or play it. There's all sorts of things that you can do, which I'll get into later. And then monetize. We know the biggest thing for developers, they want to make money. We work very closely with you guys to figure out the best way that you can maximize your profit, so we can all have yachts one day, right? Okay, cool. So we just announced a new product, which I'm actually leading for Facebook. It's called Facebook Arcade. So what is Facebook Arcade? So I'll ask you guys, how many of you guys have heard of Steam? Have you heard of Origin? Cool, so everyone knows. So there's a lot of clients out there that allow you to play games, right? Steam, you can download it, you can play triple games, they support indie games. I think there's some casual games as well. Origin, it's the same thing. They're predominantly EA games, so you can play Battlefield, FIFA, etc. At Facebook, I've actually only been at Facebook for 8 weeks. Before that, I was at Twitch. Have you heard of a company called Twitch? So this is awesome. I was there for a long time. So what's interesting with Facebook is we have all these gamers there, right? On Facebook.com, we only had basically like this casual base. We didn't necessarily have like the mid to core games. We're sort of like scratching and kicking ourselves saying, how do we expand onto that market, right? How do we make it easier for devs like you to sort of like have this platform to where you can have all these games encompassed? So we created Facebook Arcade, which soft launched. So it's our own version of our desktop client, which is available now. So if you want to check it out, you can just go to facebook.com/arcade and download the client. It is for Windows right now. But the cool thing is this is sort of the first step of us making a big push into gaming. The future of Facebook Arcade will be to where we support AAA games as well as mobile, casual, mid-core, so where as a gamer you can go to this one-stop shop and play all your games, right? And the cool thing about that is at Facebook we have what we call our social graph, to where it's when you let's say if you have a status on Facebook and you post, I'm out with my mom, and you can basically add your friends to that, right? We track all those data points, right? So we want to utilize that technology into our gaming platform that we're building now. It's not there yet, but essentially, if my son was in Facebook Arcade, his experience would be different based on what he likes. So if my son likes Ninja Turtles and Captain America and he plays casual games, that type of content is what we would surface to him, the games that he cares about, right? For myself, I like sports games, so if I'm playing NBA 2K or Madden and I like Call of Duty, those are the type of games that I would see, right? So it's pretty cool. Like there's very few platforms that can do this, but we're excited to, venture down this road. So I already really talked about this. Let me just go ahead and slip through, but I'll show you guys the product itself. So it's still in the early stages.
Is it out now?
Say again?
Is it out now?
Yeah, so it is out there. Yeah, so we're in alpha right now. We basically have our beta next month. We're working very closely with Unity, which I'll get to that in the next slide. So I know a lot of you guys are developing your games in Unity, which is awesome. So again, Facebook Arcade's a desktop client on Windows. When you load it up, we've got a few games in there right now. All of these are Unity games, which is awesome. You can sort of see a quick demo of how the product works, right? As a user, I can go in, I can play the games that I like. I can favorite the games. We're adding new features into it to where it'll support chat and some of the other features that you see when you're using like Steam and some of these other clients, right? Still very early days, but you sort of get the general concept what this is right now, right? I want to say right now we have anywhere between 500,000 to 1 million daily users, and we just launched about a month ago, and it's growing. So, our target is we want to have by next year about 20 million users using the platform and keep expanding on top of that. So. All right, so let's talk about our partnership with Unity. So I want to say about 3 weeks ago, we announced our partnership with Unity, which was awesome. So now if you're using the Unity editor, which Carl can probably speak more to, you can now export directly to Facebook Arcade from that editor. So as you're thinking to export to iOS or Google Play, etc., you've also got Facebook games there. So just making it a lot easier for you guys to add your game onto our platform. The last thing I'll talk about is just future features. So we are working with Oculus, that is a separate team, but we do want to create this sort of like world to where when you think of gaming, it encompasses everything, right? So casual, mid, core, Oculus, even live game streaming. So if you're familiar with Twitch or just live game streaming in general, you know that there's this new audience that sort of erupted, the last few years where they like to watch people play games, right? So we want to be able to pull in that content all together to where, as a gamer, I can get everything there. So those are some of the cool things that we're working on right now. The Unity guys will basically be sending out an email that lets you guys know when beta is out for this product, and we'd love for you guys to use it and give us feedback and continue with us down this journey to where we have this cool platform that we're expanding onto. So that's sort of my spiel. So thank you guys. I can take like a few questions. Sure.
So what's your monetization model for that?
So for right now, Facebook Arcade supports only free-to-play games right now. We do a 70-30 rev split. 70% of what you would see on the App Store on Google Play. Yep. Any other questions?
Do you need a Facebook account to play?
Yes, so you do need a Facebook account to play. That's actually really important because that's where, especially for you guys, we're able to track data, right? So as you're building your game, the cool thing about it is you'll be able to understand the customer or the end user, and that will help you sort of like perfect your game as you go on, right? And the type of players playing your game. So when you're pulling this data, you'll be able to see like, oh, I created this game called Pizza Man, and the demographic for my game is 35 plus males, right? So, yep. Sure.
And how are you going to get the
Take your time.
rating, like the M mature or like teen or.
So ESRB.
Yeah, but most developers that can't like get it rated by ESRB.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. The ESRB hasn't really regulated mobile games as well. That's why, like on the App Store, it's only they really only target like the really well known, so like the AAA games, like the EAs and the Activision. I suspect within like the next year or so that'll probably change. For us right now, we're complying with the ESRB, and we make sure that when we're working with devs and we review the type of game that they have, we'll submit for them. So we sort of take care of that process. Sure. Yeah, so the question is, are we trying to kill Steam? That's actually a good question. So the PC gaming market right now has about $100 billion in revenue. Steam makes anywhere between $7 to $8 billion dollars a year. So that's about 7%, right? For Facebook, we want to capitalize on the rest of the market. Like certainly there will be some customers that will jump ship and say, hey, this product is better, but our intent is in no way to kill Steam. Yet. I'm just kidding. We just basically want to capitalize on the market. We have like all these users on our platform that are gamers, and right now they're going to all these various other platforms to go watch gaming or play. It's like, how do we capitalize on that, right? And use the technology that we have right now. And we have Oculus, all these sort of cool things that we know that gaming is taking place on. Like in a perfect world, imagine if you're playing Overwatch, right? But before then, you're talking to your friends on Facebook Messenger. You know, we're building technology to where when that conversation happens, it can almost like fire up your game. So for example, if I'm like, hey, let's play Overwatch tonight, I can control my Xbox and make it, I can basically schedule that sort of play date with my Xbox, or on arcade, you can have like, where that conversation would translate into the game, right? To where it's all scheduled there. We're just trying to make it easier by using our products and building a cool product to support gamers. So.
Yeah, so I think his question is maybe if you can't play without a Facebook account, then it means you can't play if you're not 13 or older. Is that true also for developing the games?
Yeah, so in its current state, you have to be 13 plus and you have to have a Facebook account. Yeah. And that goes into, I'm definitely not a legal person, but there's like laws and stuff. It's funny, Facebook is like probably the most scrutinized company in the world. Just in general, because anything that happens on Facebook, most of the time we get blamed for it. So just trying to protect ourselves.
So I can blame you for everything.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Any other questions?
If I heard you correctly, you said currently development is on the PC.
Yes.
And is there a timeline for also doing that on the Mac side?
Yeah, so we're looking into it right now. We're estimating, we're talking actually with Unity for the editor. We're probably in the next few months, I would say.
Okay.
So definitely coming soon. Cool. Well, oh, go ahead.
To write off that one, what about Linux?
Linux support is coming as well in the next few months. Working on all these things for you guys. Cool. All right. Well, that's my time, and thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's get into Unity right away. Or maybe I'm just gonna take 5 minutes to explain the concept, and I'm gonna go through the slides. And then we start with this little game. Okay. So, okay, it's a talk that normally takes a long time, but I'm gonna go quickly through it to give you an understanding about room scale, VR scale. It was a talk I normally gave, and I called it Build Architectural and Gaming Environments that Create Presence in AR and VR. Okay. When you, and the original title was Genius Loki for Room Scale VR. I just want to go into a little bit that you better understand what is VR with one eye. Okay. How much is a one eye contributing that? Because when you create room scale VR, like when you put the goggles on and you make 3Ds, you make something architectural basically. And you want to be an architect basically. Okay. Now, you want to create their buildings that are nice. What we mean with nice is that they have presence. And that when you, hello, yes?
I do
Is this better? Is this better? And
No, it's not.
no?
It's not.
Okay.
Even
Just, okay, I don't know how to do non-presenter mode in Unity and PowerPoint. Tool, slideshow. Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know how to do numbers. No, I have to find it here.
you know,
Okay, that will be the last part of PowerPoint, and I'm going to go through it very fast. Okay, when you want to create is basically presence, but presence exists already a long time. A lot of people think that presence comes from VR, and it's totally new. It is not. It exists already in the Egyptians and the Romans, that they understood that how can I make sure when I walk in a building or stand in front of a building that I see it and feel it in 3D. Okay. If it's something real or virtual, it doesn't matter, because of our eyes, eyes are just a sensor input. But if you go to buildings like, anybody knows this building? Yes. Anybody been there? Okay. When you go in there, you really feel the dome. Okay. When you stand in front of this building, you really feel it's perfect. When you Tarawanda architecture, the lighting becomes really, helps you to understand the space. When you go to the, I'm going to go very fast because otherwise I'm going to be too long today. When you stand there, there's a sense that you have to move around to understand the space. So is there a language of architecture to understand better depth? So how we see 3D? One, it's really easy. You have two eyes, and everybody knows that, I think here. When you have two eyes, you see a left eye and a right eye that's a little bit different, and it helps us to understand 3D. I'm going to skip this one. Okay. That one. But this is more important. Part 2. We understand depth because we have one eye. Look around, and then close one eye and look around. You understand still the space. You're not lost. Okay. Now, there's certain things you're born with and certain things you're not born with. Like, for instance, understanding grabbing an object, you're born with that. Okay. But we know when you start to walk and can move that you actually see depth. Okay. But you always have problems the rest of your life to understand depth, and you have to learn it. The first 13 years are the crucial years of understanding depth. It takes about 13 years to understand really depth perception. But if you don't know the object, you don't understand the depth. And that's why in VR, don't make environments that, I hear them, I don't make a VR game that nobody has seen before. No, in worlds that nobody's seen before, where you cannot connect with that. It's like looking at two rockets, two comets, that you don't know where they are. If you know the object, you know it's fake. But here, this is one eye. A pictorial monocular depth cube. That means with one eye, you see an environment and you're not moving. How do you understand? Because you see it 3D. You don't see a flat image. Elements like familiar size. Using objects that you know in the scene helps you to understand how far the object is and how deep the object is. There's more objects, like more things. Aerial perspective, understanding when an object is far away, then it loses color. Okay? Or the gradient, like grass, flowers. All those things help us to understand depth. Now, if you use in 3D and you use the texture size scaling wrong, you get sick because you tell the object it's so far, but the resolution is different. Maybe you write a shader when the object goes far away in the scene, it loses color to help you understand depth. The Eiffel Tower is a nice example of understanding this. Okay. If you stand on the bottom and you look up, the colors will disappear here because it's far away. It loses color. You know what they did? They actually painted the Eiffel Tower less color. The gradient. So your illusion of seeing it higher is accelerated because the paint is here less color already. So it's just an acceleration effect to think it's actually higher than what you see. And it's important to use objects that you know, and that's why we're using our tutorials, objects we know like human beings. But if there's nothing to understand what it is, how far it is, you don't see depth. When you add objects in there that you understand, it will help you to understand depth. But this is a really bad example because it's only one cube. But there's more. Perspective, for instance. What do you see? A cube. Because you learn to see it as a cube. Here we understand this because, one, the background is a bit lighter made. You perceive that depth. We have perspective. We have objects that we know, and that makes it to see 3D. But look at the tiles. The tiles are very important in there. Because as a human being, we are born with this. If something is scaled, we perceive it as depth. We see it as depth. And that's very important. Because if the cues are not there, and I can fool your brain, I see something like this. If enough cues are there, I see it as 3D. Now here's the most important slide. Right, come on. Pictorial monochromatic depth cues means that if I stand still and I close one eye, how come I understand depth? We have 11 points that we use in our as a human being to understand how far something is. And we use familiar size, occlusion, the gradient, contour, lighting and shading to understand depth. But here's my question. If you have two eyes, how many cues my two eyes use? And that will become interesting here. I only actually use two. So that means you have 11 cues to understand depth with one eye, but with two eyes you have only two cues. One is because I have two eyes, the stereopsy. And the other one is the converse. When an object is close to 10 meters in VR and real life, your eyes cross over. Now that becomes interesting because over time I learn how much the nerve is going to the muscle to pull the eyes contouring. That means an object is so close. But the problem is after 10 meters it doesn't work. So after 10 meters you only rely on one cue to understand 3D with two eyes. So basically only 10% of seeing depth, understanding depth, is of two eyes. So if you don't respect all the monochromatic cues, you will never have a good 3D VR. If there's not enough cues, what do you see? A lake or a wall? See, nobody knows. It's actually a wall. But do you see? You get confused. No, she's not floating. And that's because of one cue is missing in whole this aspect. It's because, part 3, you can move. If you can move, you would know that this is a shadow of a flag behind you. Because you can move. And that's called parallaxing. And that's why if you don't have enough cues and cannot move, your brain not make things. The guy is not riding her, no. That animal doesn't exist, but because he lacks motion. And that's why when you make VR games, or specific AR games with HoloLens, I see people putting one object in there. No, put objects behind it, so you have the parallaxing. The sense that when you move your head, that an object in the back is moving slower than the object in the front. If you don't have that effect going on, you lose a lot of your cue. If you could move, you would see that's fake. In real life, they do that also. St. Peter's Square. They specific put multiple columns behind each other. Because when you walk, you have the parallax of the columns, and that helps you to understand the sense of that space. That's why they put specific those elements there, so you could never stand there and see a perfect alignment. Because of that, it will become boring. They especially put it there so you have the parallaxing and helps you understand the space. Okay. So in architecture in real life, they use all those techniques. I'm going to go quickly here. Is this dome? Why do we see it as 3D and feel as dome as 3D? Okay. First of all, they made those line converse as perspective. This is a flat image, but you see it as 3D. But here's a trick done though. Take that square, and you see it as a square. But if you put just lines in there, you see depth. That's the nature of human beings. And that's why that one eye information makes that look dome much bigger than it is. Those dents in there are not deep, they're just a little bit. But because it's those lines, it helps you to understand way more 3D. No, you can fool the brain there. As the scaling is not done similarly. The scaling is actually done a little bit more. And that's you more perspective than it is. And that's called perspective distortion. And that helps to bring that space even more out. And this is the nice example. If you stand in front of this building, it looks perfect in the eye. And you look on the internet and they tell you it's because of the golden ratio. If you go to Gamma Sutra, there's a whole article, use the golden ratio. And they say all those buildings are using the golden ratio, even my body, that was last week. And you learn in school and in a lot of places you learn about the golden ratio. And they say it's all over. And that makes something beautiful. And here's my proof. If everybody finds that the golden ratio is scientific proven, and everybody picks the same rectangle. No. There's no scientific proof ever done, and there's never a proof that ever has been used at any of those buildings. It is all made up much later on the internet. The reality is that building is perspective distorted. It is not built as a rectangle, first of all. It's built like this, so my perspective of my eye makes it a square. Even the distance between the columns are not even equal. It's specially done so the perspective it puts it perfect on your eye. Steve Jobs knew that too. When he worked at Next and created the Cube computer, it's not a cube, the back is 1 millimeter longer, and it puts on the eye then a perfect cube. Now, quick on shadow and shading. That's why you use shadows and shading in Unity to make something more 3D. And those images show that helps you. But, shadow here. But here I'm going to give you two proofs why you should really think about this on a shadow. When you see, like, say you make a column in 3D in the virtual world, and you walk away for more than 10 meters, you're going to get this problem. It looks flat. Because you have two problems. You have a converse problem and a stereopsy problem. Converse means, now after 10 meters, my eyes don't cross over. So, I don't know how far that object is based on my two eyes of that view. The left eye and the right eye are similar. Exactly the same. So in VR, you put the same image in the right one and the left one. The only difference is the shadow. The shadow is different. You will see the object as 3D. That really proves that shadow helps us to understand 3D. So that's why it's super important to use shadow in VR. Okay. Down here, most people when they walk around in VR get sick. Okay. So there's alternatives. And what we're going to hear now is a lot is teleportation. What does that mean? You look at a certain area, you say, yes, I go there, and then you're there. Like here's a nice example. You look, and you say, I'm going to go there, click, and you define what you're going to look at, and then you're going to say, okay, I'm going to go there. You're going to quickly blink your eyes, and then you're there. You blink because you do a transportation. You move to a new world. You don't want to get sick. The problem is with that, there is no parallaxing going on. That means I don't see anything moving around me. But if you move like walking, you're going to get so sick. So that's why another technique that is coming up, and it's super interesting, you look at an area, you click on it, and it goes super fast with it. Why? It takes 1.5 seconds for my brain to catch up that I'm actually moving if I move my controller in my game. So I do a little bit movement, and I get a little bit parallaxing, and it helps me to better understand the space. So no matter which buildings you're going to look at, try to find those things. Right? So those buildings became very famous, and they see 3D because of one eye. In Notre Dame, that's made up story from that. They used this, that's made up. They didn't use the golden ratio on that. Okay. Thing. But my biggest advice is this. I say this. Is when you make a VR game, close one eye and play with one eye. If it works, then with two eyes, it really comes out. Because I see everybody right away testing with two eyes. But they don't test, are there enough cues for my one eye to understand it, to enhance it with my two eyes? Okay, enough. This is really cool too. We are working actually on a VR editor. what allows you to put the headset on, and you're gonna see Unity and VR also, and you can work directly in the VR editor. Should be ready this year. No, more fun, Unity itself. Okay, what we're gonna make is this. All those PowerPoints. Yeah. What's that? Oh. I did it fast, but now I'm gonna talk slower and take my time to explain everything, because we're gonna work together. The goal is to create this little game that works in VR, but also on non-VR. Okay. It's a little game, and if I press play, I see an environment. I have a little character that can move forward, left and right. But what we notice is there that right away the UI is integrated, and we have a UI that. How many shields I have to pick up? I have to pick up so many shields in a certain time, and if I pick them up, the door opens and I can continue the level. Okay? No, things that we see is there that I can here show you this. I have here a unique button, enable VR. You don't see that button. How are we going to make that button? Okay? How are we going to have our camera that I can say here that I actually can play this game also with my mouse. And how can I override my camera and play here? And you see my camera moving a little bit slower so I don't get sick. And how can I jump? Okay? How those complex animations work. Okay? How I make a skybox, how I make it rotate, all those things we're going to do. Yeah. So, in this project, everybody has the assets. You could download them. I think they gave them by email, or I gave USB keys around. All those assets that we're going to use come actually from the asset store. Don't worry about using them. I fully seek permission from the creator. And we sign a legal agreement that we have them and we can distribute them. And we use like a very beautiful island, and we use a nice character to all make that. So, those are the cycles. I'm going to teach with learning cycles. What does that mean? I will show 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. Then you do those steps. So we're going to break it down in 13 steps. Okay? First, we're going to go over the project. Then we're going to make the scene. We're going to put the Viking in there. We're going to make sure that the Viking can walk around but hits the walls. We're going to convert the project to VR. We're going to animate the character so it can run and jump. We're going to make sure we can transition between all those animations. How we're going to collect objects. How the code works. How we're going to do it in VR. How we spawn our collectibles randomly all over the scene. How we manage the game. How we integrate audio. How can we improve the graphics such as image filters. How can we bake light information. And then how we build it. Okay. Also during the lunch break, you can play VR games on it. It's totally available there. Okay. Can you repeat? No?
Do they have the project file?
Did you get an email to download the content?
Give her a cell phone.
It's very hard to understand what they actually say.
Text message. You can maybe type it there. Ask her, yeah, if she can get that, then she can.
Oh, hang on, yeah, you can totally do that. Before you do that, on the top left, yes, the little blue chat icon on the top left is there. Yeah, it's awesome. Assets here. Oh, it's a zip file.
Don't answer this. That's her calling you. Because I can't use the call and just tell her I'm sending it.
How can I show my screen again? On the left, there's a green icon. Right here.
Yeah, that's it. Also, can I also ask some of you who are not, you don't need Wi-Fi right now, if you don't mind turning it off, because we've actually completely maxed out on Wi-Fi users, and some people haven't been able to download Unity yet. So give those folks a chance to download Unity, and then maybe you guys get back on Wi-Fi.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, for those of you UH students, try to use your UH
Okay.
accounts rather than the lava Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're talking, so that's only for the Wi-Fi streaming.
Yeah, UH Wi-Fi school.
I just dragged it.
Oh, okay, so you gotta go to file, new project, and then hit open, and then yeah, clean the file.
Hey, do you see my screen now?
And then reopen it.
I tried to do this. I used to do this.
Viking quit at 1 or Viking project or yeah, just
Okay. Do you see my screen? You're gonna have to ask help to see my screen. I don't know how it works.
when you you already opened it.
Do you know how to do that?
Yes, you're recording it, you're good. It's just it'll open up anytime and you can just open it and see.
That's what we're going to do. But actually, once you click on something else, now they can take a text message.
Yeah, one of them.
Like I remember the last one. It was like a monthly file, like an actual file. Yeah. I think that was back when I was
Yeah, so if you go to scene, I take this out, then you're going into the folder, and then actually I don't know what our first step's gonna be, but he's probably gonna have you open the scene. But maybe just hang tight, because he might not open the scene, he might have you make it open the scene. He might, he's probably gonna walk everybody, I don't know what everyone's
Well, he better he has to show up. Not invited. Yes. Yeah, we can do it.
Yes. So we're gonna take a half-hour break, we're gonna eat here, and that time is gonna take a bit. So that way what we do is set everything up, and then in a half hour we continue with everybody here all together to make the game. So also let you know I have everything written out here, you can see all the steps are written out here, and I made a movie file. So what we're gonna do is, while everybody is setting up, we're gonna unbox the lunches, and you can eat, and then in 30 minutes, let's start. Is okay?
Carl, what assets should we be importing in the meantime?
Oh, here from the USB key, but I'm gonna explain how to do it all.
Okay.
Hold on, like,
Yeah, because they don't have food.
It's just it's to make life possible better. There's less I did a study over the animation system. I'm shaking in the hand and newer animation system boundary fix. Oh, we've used it before, but I don't memorize it. Like yeah.
They don't
What's up?
So, it depends on the thing. Right now, the front of the project is kind of up. We export it all. So anybody who installs the hardware at home, they can do too.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Basically, what I'm doing with VR classes have been modeling and society say, make this in VR. And what do you want to do with
Oh no, it's the wire. Oh, I'm gonna grab one now. Because I can't see Oh, you got some.
It's not easy.
Oh, there it is. Or I'm gonna run out there. Yeah, you're doing a great job. I'm enjoying it. I found somebody who's probably about right. Great insight. And now I know how many quite there.
figure out what is the right way.
Setting expectations about
Some organization asked me to give a stock on it. Why you want to play this VR? I'm fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not like I was eating not really healthy, but I wasn't eating like terrible. I was eating fast, like twice a week. I got home, by I think my entire workplace they talk about everyone at my job thinks that's and he said that's bull.
So Honolulu is the first stop, yeah? The roadshow. No? When you look on the website,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
top of maybe they just got rid of it.
Yeah, all the time.
Well, lucky you that you got to use this one.
Because I overview the program.
I'll do the one.
But I'm 340 days a year for help. That's a hard thing. I go one night. No. I'm originally from Belgium, but my wife lives in Canada. But I should do it there because it's tax free. But yeah, like
More
no.
than 75%. More than 75% away from
It's not
Anything else?
I did software consulting for Oracle for 17 years. Out on Sunday night, work on Monday morning, leave Friday night. So you get home, you do your laundry, check the mail, pay
My kids, all the laundry is done because I work from they get one night a month.
My psychic is saying that the kid is there. I found the best. And I was like, and my coworker was relaying this to after you took the phone call. It reminded me of so I'm sitting there like, yeah, I want to get for Snapchat.
I
She's Amanda Bennigan's complaint from Big Cars. So they're like, so I took it with a screenshot, sent it to him, and he's like, wow, what is
Hey Carl, I extracted your asset files, but when I go to the editor, do I go to file or assets import, or how do I get it?
No, we're gonna explain that all.
Okay, all right.
And then she's like, what do you mean? AI on that table since that day. And I was like, what's wrong? Did you eat it? And she's like, I didn't have I guess they found out afterwards because the next time I walked into her, back in the bag. How's it going? did NPR. We are already on Yeah, well, we're actually constrained by the room. Last year we had yeah, I started
I was just asking if there's a mailing list we can join, because there's an event yesterday at a different location that's for almost exclusively for people that have never even helped the community before. We didn't know that it existed. Is there a mailing list or something? Because we didn't know that. We didn't know that at the end of this, there's going to be a survey, and when you take the survey, you'll automatically be entered into their database for their mailing list or any kind recommend yeah. That's kind of create a strain on the brain. It's kind of a strain, it's the same type of strain as putting on someone else's glasses. You know, because your eyes have to work a little bit harder to focus. Let's say
I wish this was like the other games that actually multiple ways to play. Like, this one is sort of
I see my assistant.
Hello. Right. So, sure. Okay. Come around. Yes. Yeah, it's basically the
It looks as a later fight. Will you hang up or something? Yeah, you're gonna have to hold it. No. Do you still see my screen? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Okay, you want to get started? Okay. Let's get started. Oh, no? Oh. Okay, we don't hear you. Oh, you don't see me? Okay. Okay, Jason here? Okay. I'm gonna ask if you can help. Is it the screen you mean? Okay. I think it got disconnected. Yes. So first we're gonna set up the project and then start. Now, if you wonder, hey, I have to wrap up by 3:30. And give the code to the people for certification. But the project, don't worry, if you don't finish everything, no worries. I'm going to give you a link to fill in the survey. Fill it in. Then you get a link to the PowerPoint with all the steps written out. And also, I actually fully recorded the movie file on how to do it. So it's step-by-step recorded and I explain everything. Okay. It's only $500 you have to put in my Dropbox account. It's totally free.
It's all about monetization.
Okay. But also we're very lucky. Joe has been working a lot on Unity and knows Unity very good. He will also walk around to help you if you have problems with Unity and have questions. So a big thank you for Joe for doing it voluntarily. Also, I forgot the name. Patrick will do exactly the same. So a big applause for him helping us out as well. Okay. Is the monetization process done? Okay, almost there. This morning, did he hey, was it interesting to learn about those things?
Yeah.
Yeah? If not, you can tell me. Then I kick you. No, I mean, yeah.
Small question. You know, like all the things about not making more sickness, like all the things. Is there anywhere with like a list of to-dos and not to-dos? You know, like somewhere, because I see it all like, oh, don't do this, but now like.
There's one good article going on Subla. That list is very long. It's very long. Lists all links and everything what you found.
Just okay. So
Yeah,
like a reference.
yeah. It's a very good one. Okay, but this one. Do you see the screen? No? No. Can we send an invite? No? Maybe click on the invite. Okay, okay, okay.
While they're setting up,
Okay.
one last thing.
Yeah.
We apologize again, we don't have enough power strips for everybody. So if you notice the person next to you is dying, don't mind.
Okay, let's go. Let's start. So, everybody should have a zip file. Okay. You should have a zip file or a folder. And it's in the handout, and there's a Viking Quest VR_start.zip file. Okay, or Viking if you unzipped it. So I'm gonna unzip it. The file. Okay. And this is unzipped. Okay. And the fast way to open that actually, if you're totally new to Unity, you open this, you open assets, and there's a file called scene, a folder called scenes. And you double click on starting scene. Okay? Double click on that, and then it will open this project. Okay? Okay. It takes a bit of time because I deleted some things and it has to recreate it, and also the first time you import textures, it has to set all the preferences on the textures. And that is what it takes time, is importing big textures. Because it has to convert the textures for all the different platforms. So you can open that project. Okay. Was that?
Please don't get up. No screen.
No screen?
No screen.
They didn't log in.
Yeah, you're in the right place.
Okay, we send a Google invite. Maybe check your mail or. Oh, I think they're there. You see us? You see my screen? Yes, oh yeah. So what I did was, I went to the folder here, the zip file from the Viking start that I gave to everybody, I unzipped it. And then what we do is, we go to assets, and we open that, assets, scenes, and I'm going to open the scene starting scene. Double click on that, and that should then open automatically Unity and open that project. Okay. Continue, and open this. Okay. So it's importing the textures. So I'm gonna wait, make sure that everybody has this open. We're gonna change the layout and then see if it brings. Okay. Yes, yeah, on the one.
Yeah, make sure you take the file out of the zip file first, especially if you're on the Windows platform. It will actually let you click into the zip file and then open it instead of extracting it first. Make sure you extract it from the zip file before you open the project.
Well, she works for Metro.
students that worked on sausage. She's been kind of looking for people out there doing that. That's what she said. Yeah, I heard because I'm like, yeah, it was kind of gathered and like I didn't almost see it. I had to actually click on his Facebook page and read his story of apology that was but that can be on Facebook and just reading the apology made my head hurt. Because it was just like, if you do that, yes, she would have been upset about it. She would have preferred the apology rather than beating her on about that kind of shit and then cheating on her physically out emotionally.
Okay. So you see here I have a starting scene. Okay. Now you wonder maybe how we made that starting scene, and you see it's dark, and after a certain point it become light. We're going to address all those issues, what we have to do for that. Okay. But the scene was actually created. What I'm going to do is here a new scene. Okay. New scene, and I'm going to go to the folder. Models or prefabs, environment, and there you can see those 3D models. And I have a ground, so here it is, and I can drag and drop that ground into my scene. Just I drag it in there. Then I can zoom out and zoom in to see that. Zoom in and zoom out is on a PC computer best done with the scrolling of the mouse. And with a Mac computer you can do that too, or you can use your 2 fingers up and down to look at this. You can press the F key to focus on that, so you look at that object. And you can use Alt, left mouse button, to inspect this object. And to look around, Alt and left mouse button. Okay? To inspect this object. Okay, now you can take other objects, such as a rock, here, look, a rock, and I can drag it on there. Somebody has a lot of thumb drives. Can somebody share one of the thumb drives? Okay. Now we have other objects like here, a tree. I can drag and drop in there. See? And that's how that environment was created. Right? By drag and drop those artworks. Those artwork came from our asset store. If I go here to window, asset store. Okay. That store, when it's slow here, the internet, that store is a whole store with all art content that you can buy or get for free. It's still loading. So I want to do this little exercise here, so for people who are new to Unity, they understand how to drag an object in and orbit it there. Now, before you do it, I will show it again, and then you do it. Okay? So what I did was file a new scene. Okay? And I went to the prefabs, environment, and I can find all 3D objects there. We're going to take the ground. Okay? And then we can take a tree, place it there maybe. Okay. I have another ground I can drag and drop in there, just for you in a sense to understand how we build levels. Okay? And then you can have the left mouse button and Alt to block. You can click on objects, you see. I can just click and it selects it and press F to frame it. That's how you make your level. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to make your own little level. Okay? And then we're going to use a starting level so that everybody's on the same one. Okay? So, okay. So you can see on the PowerPoint practice by placing the objects around, and there's also some shortcuts that you can use, but we're going to go more in it. So I just want to see that everybody can create a little level, okay, and then we're going to use the other one to make something better. You see this hand? Nobody sees it?
Yes.
One person sees it?
Where is it?
Okay. When I click that hand, same as the Q key, I can pan this around so I can see it here, put it here. And we're going to use that level to make the scene. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a character in there. That little Viking. Okay? Now pay attention. Don't try to follow along. It's better you watch the screen. I show it, and then you do it with the PowerPoint and with the help of Patrick and Joel. Okay, here, prefabs. Okay, on the asset store, we downloaded the character, and we should have some. Oh, it's models. And the models have a Viking. You can pick the okay, Viking shield. Okay, sorry. Where did I put my Viking now? Like here, mini Viking. So here in the models, I found mini Viking, and I can pick a Viking with axes or a Viking with sword. I'm going to take a Viking with a sword here. Okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to place it in my scene. Okay, I'm going to drag it in there. Okay? Place it there. What we're going to make, we're going to have a VR game, and I use the controllers, and the controller that we have right now from Facebook, with the joysticks to walk around, and to make that character walk around. Okay. But of course, I'm going to press F to focus on there. Now look here at that little cute character. Okay? What I want to do is, I want to give physics to that object. So it can fall and it can jump. Huh? How do I do that? Look this. In order to add physics to an object, you select object. And for the people who are Unity experts, you will see, and there's a few steps that are basic, but then you're going to see unique steps to VR. I'm going to select my Viking sword, and I'm going to add a component to it. What I'm going to add to the character? Physics. Not 2D physics. Not 2D physics, but physics. 3D physics. We have 2D for 2D games, and physics for the real world. Physics. And then there's a lot of options. What we're going to give is a rigid body. Rigid body means gravity. Click, I add it to it. No click, what happens? I'm going to press play, and the Viking falls to the ground. It falls forever and forever and forever. You can do that also. You can look a whole day at that if you want, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make a collider. So when that object falls, it hits the ground, and I cannot go through it. Okay? How do you do that? I set my Viking sword here in the game. So the hierarchy lists all the objects in my game. Here in that scene. The project is all the things that I import. It's like my library, the things I'm going to use to make a game. Yeah? Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set my Viking sword, add a component, again to physics. We're going to give it a capsule collider. Click. You know, focus here on my thing. And what I see now here, when I bring up my Viking, you're going to see a little sphere here. Okay? I'm going to make it a little bit higher up and match it with my character. How do I do that? Well, look here. The radio's in the center. The Y value. Okay? I can bring that up. This is actually a slider here. Look, when I go next to it, I can slide with that. See? Or I can type it in. So click, I'm going to bring this up. See? And now I can scale this, the height. And bring it a bit higher. See, now I have a capsule that fits around my character. Huh? When I press play, my character is on the ground. Make sense? There's one thing more we're going to do. We're going to add a script to it. In Unity, you can make your scripts by create. You can do JavaScript or C# script, and you can type it in. Okay. But today we're not going to type in everything in, otherwise it's going to be crazy. So I pre-made the scripts, and I can explain them a little bit. In my folder scripts, I have a script called Player Full Control. Feel free to use all those scripts in your own projects or use them commercially. I don't know. I don't care. Double that. It's a C# script. C#, yeah. And you can use Java or C#. So mono behavior. Well, here, quickly on function start. When the game starts in the first frame, I look at my rigid body, the component. Okay. And here on function updates means every frame. Every frame, I will check if I press jump. Okay. And later on, we're going to see that more in depth. But what I'm going to do is here. What is my input? Here. I'm going to check the input of horizontal and vertical. That's my up, down, left, right on my keyboard, but the same on my joystick. Up, down, left, right. It's automatically clustered form. We're going to use that to move the physics of my object, the rigid body. Okay? So, look, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick here my Viking, and again, I'm going to add a component. I add the rigid body, and the physics. I add the collider, and now I'm going to add a script to it. The script, and the script is player controller, player full control. Click. No. What is the ground? Later on, we're going to see that. I'm going to put it to ground, but later on we have to use that. I'm going to explain how it all works. When I press play, my character falls on the ground, and now I can move forward and the left, right, or the W, A, S, D keys, and I can start to walk around in the scene. Next, press play here. Okay. Move. Okay. And I can walk around. Okay. But of course, you can see that when I walk too far, I fall over the island. And the next learning cycle will fix that. Okay. So I'm going to explain to you what to do. You go to Assets, Models, the Mini Viking. In the Mini Viking, you're going to find one with axe or sword. You can pick what you want. I'm picking the one with the sword and dragging the scene. What do we have to add? Yeah, rigid body. We're going to add the physics to it. Add here, physics, rigid body. Whatever other component we're going to add. Yeah, physics, capsule collider. And the last part was a script. And which script are we going to add?
Player full control.
There's one person who pays attention here. And then you test it. Okay, before you test it, listen to me. When you press the play button, you're in play mode. When you stop the play mode, you click the play button, and then you can keep working. Sometimes I see people doing this. They press play button. Hey, why did it fail? Oh man. Okay, I'm going to bring my center up, and my center up, and here my radius up. No, my height up. Okay. So okay, I press play. And then I don't stop the play button, I'm going to keep working. Well, and my character falls over. We're going to fix that later on. Okay. But when I move things around, like if I move like the sun around here, and I stop it, it doesn't remember that. So make sure when you continue to work and do changes, you stop the play button. You promise me? Okay. Put the PowerPoint now. Okay. So open the starting scene, drag the Viking in the scene, add the rigid body, the capsule collider, and add the full player control script to the Viking. Oh yeah, and set the ground player to what's the ground. Here and here like this. Then you select the Viking. Here, what is the ground? Here. Ground. Okay, ground to ground.
Oh, okay, but when it's, I think it's maybe just a little letter, it's too low. Yeah, it does. So, the one last six You may have added your own scripts. Or
Sorry, I missed this part because I was on this. How do we scale the alignment? You do limits as well? Oh wait, change it. Name place or there we go.
you have this outside of it.
Oh no, you fell over. Everything is working.
Okay. Yeah, when I continue. Yeah, one person is yes, the rest says no. Okay. Next step is one more thing before we go to VR. Okay. When I press play, okay, and I move forward, you see finally my collider falls over. Okay? And I can move around, but the moment I stand still, or sometimes I go over things, I will fall over. Okay? So we have to control that. Okay, I want to say it's not possible to do that. It's really simple. I have my Viking guide selected. In here, in the rigid body, that's the physics. I'm going to put constraints on there. I'm going to say freeze the rotation. That means freeze the rotation, the X, Y, and Z, you cannot fall over, basically. You cannot rotate. But still in script, I can access it, and I'm going to be able to rotate in the Y to run around. Okay? So now press play, my character will not fall over. But in script, when I use the scripts to look around in a certain direction, that's not a problem. Okay. Okay, but there's another problem. Whoa, don't do it yet. There's another problem. Look, when I leave, I can keep walking here, and I'm going to fall. Let's see, I'm going to find here. Okay. I'm not so a good walker in that mode here. No, otherwise, I fall over. I fall off the island. Okay, what can I do? Listen, I could actually go to game object and create a cube. Okay, and place. I can scale this and show you. I could make walls on all those sides, yeah, and rotate them. Okay, duplicate them, okay, and then place them all over to basically say you cannot walk through that. Okay, and then you could say that those walls are not visible, or you don't do the mesh render. Okay, so they are a collider. You hit against it. No, I just wanted to give a tip for expert users. Expert users do this. They hide the mesh render. But then they come to me. You have a car, I don't see them. Yeah, of course. Mesh render, this means you're not going to render the mesh. But they will be there as colliders to hit. But if you work in production, you want to see them sometimes. You want to see, did I forget one? Are they connecting? Okay, I'm going to show you another technique. Okay, I have to delete those two boxes first. Okay, here. What I did, I made a. I put it somewhere in my prefabs. Wall colliders. On my prefabs, I made this object already. I pre-made it. So look, I'm just going to drag it in the hierarchy. In the hierarchy. In the hierarchy. Okay. And so you're going to see this. Okay. There's a wall. What I'm going to do? I created actually a layer here. Here in the word layers. I created a layer wall collider. I pre-made it for you to make it a bit easier. Because you can say edit layers and create there and everything. What I'm going to do, that wall collider is currently visible. And I'm going to say you're not visible. So anything in the layer wall collider will not be visible. Okay, what I'm going to say, hey, my world collider, you are in the layer wall collider. Just change children, yes. So now it's not visible in my scene here. Okay? But now it's still visible in my game. That means with layers you can have control if it's visible in the game or in the editor. This becomes a little bit more expert.
Did you create that in Unity as well, the wall collider?
I created in Unity. I put all those boxes around and I drag it from there into the project. I will explain that later. It's a prefab. Okay, basically. So now I want that world collider also not visible in my game. How can I do that? Well, here. I have a camera. I'm going to say in my camera, here, cutting mask. Cutting mask says show everything. But I'm going to say, don't show the wall collider. If I remove the wall collider, I don't see them in my here. So that's the beauty now. If you work in production, I still can go to layers and say, show my wall collider. I see it in here, but I'm not going to see it in my game. And that's when you do profiling, testing, heat maps, you want to have access to all little things like that. So I'm going to recap what you're all going to do. Okay? One, I'm going to go here to my Viking sword, right? And my rigid body, I open constraints. In my constraints, I'm going to say freeze rotation, all of them. So I don't fall over anymore. Then, I go to my prefabs, and in my prefabs, I'm going to find world colliders. My world collider, where do I will drag it in? In my hierarchy or in my game? Yeah. The reason why, if I put it in my hierarchy, then I have to move and try to match it. Okay. I'm going to take my world collider, drag it in my hierarchy, and say that this belongs to the layer wall collider. It's a wall colliders. But here my layers itself, that you can find here on top, I'm going to say, don't show wall collider. Don't show wall collider. Okay? If you're not familiar with it, you don't have to really do colliders. You can play the game without the colliders. Camera, controller, rig. Now, pay attention. I want that the camera is actually in charge of that. So what I do, I take the camera rig out of it, and then I drag and drop the main camera on there. Okay? No. In VR, in Unity, I can move this forward, and my VR camera will move my camera. Make sense? Okay, there's another problem. Look here. My camera is looking downwards. You see that? Nobody sees it? So the camera looks down. Okay? That's not good. Why is that? Well, if I put my headset on, the first thing you do is look forward. But you put it in the game like this. So you're going to put it on, you turn 45 degrees, and in the game you will be looking down. So that's why we're going to remove all rotations on it. So I'm going to put it forward looking. So here my camera rig, the rotation, the camera itself, I'm going to rotate it. Okay? That's my rotate button here. See, move, rotate, scale, rotate the camera, and I'm going to click on the red X, and I'm going to make it look forward. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now I make my camera look forward. Okay. There's another problem that we have. Okay? Is this. When I press my game, play now my game, I want to simulate exactly what happens in VR. Okay, now the beauty is that actually, right now, if I put it on this computer, but I want to let what I can try the games here. If I put my headset, connect my headset in there, I put it on, I look around, I will right away in the editor also here rotate my camera. You will see it in the editor. And you need to use a PC computer for that, and a powerful one like this one. Okay. But the problem is this. I do not always want to put my headset on when I'm working. I want to see it there directly. I want to simulate the behavior of my VR on my camera in there. But I can't. Because when I press the play mode, my camera here is controlled automatically by that device. So I'm going to write a script to override that. I'm going to show you what I do. Okay. In the main camera, I'm going to add a component. I'm going to add a script. And it's called camera editor control. Because in the editor, I'm going to control my camera too. Good. Let me look at that script. So when I press play now, look at this. When I press play, now I can simulate looking around like with my head. Okay? I'm going to show you something here. Here, when I use mouse, I'm going to say no mouse. When I press play, then I'm in VR mode. Okay? This, let's test with my mouse. Make sense? Okay. Now, here, I'm going to show you something here. This is basically, it's really simple. I put this script, and what I say here is for more experts, but on a function awake. Function awake before is, anybody knows the function awake? Okay. Function awake means it's before a function starts. That means it's the frame before the game starts. So just before the game starts, I'm going to check, are we in the editor or not? Okay? If you're not in the editor, that means if you're a build. If you're playing on a computer, a standalone version, destroy all that script. Then I will be controlled by my camera. If not, I write here a whole script that this is fully controlled by my camera, by my mouse. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Now there's another thing I did, is this. I don't find it really fun to do this. Edit, player settings, go to other settings, and try to find that button. It's a lot of work. So what I did was this. I wrote a script that's in an editor file folder. If I make a script and I put it in the editor folder, it's because I'm going to change the layout of Unity. It's an editor script that we call. And I wrote here basically a script that makes this button. VR, disable, or enable. Right? Because I'm lazy. Okay. I prefer to write a script of 100 lines so I don't have to click buttons. Okay. But now it's really handy because everybody just drags and drops that little script in there and they can toggle on and off depending on the project. Okay? So, I'm going to recap what you have to do to make the camera convert to VR, and then the camera you can control also with movement and making sure that it works in the editor. So what I do is this. Okay? First thing I did, I select my main camera. Okay? And actually I put the rotation to 0, 0, 0. That's what I do. The first thing I do. I put it straight forward. So it doesn't look down. Then I create an empty child and I can rename it as camera rig. Camera rig controller. I take it out so it's not a child of the camera. I take my main camera and make it a child of the camera rig. Okay? Then I set my main camera and I added a script camera editor control to it. And I put it to mouse control. So that now you can control it with your mouse. It's not controlled by the headset. And you can go here to VR and enable this if you want. VR enable. Okay. So, you can do the steps. And this is really simple. How can you convert a regular project to a VR project? Yes? What's that? Oh no, that there's an editor script replaces that, and then the button on top, VR, or that replaces it. Yeah, so you don't have to do it, because otherwise it's complicated to find.
Is this only supported for Oculus, or like if you're doing the Vive, would you need the
So
Steam
for the
VR?
Vive, you have to download a plugin.
The Steam VR one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. But we're gonna make it so you will have it there too, automatically.
We're kind of stuck at
and then also just click anywhere and and then you're gonna unparent it by dragging, click and holding and dragging it out of the hierarchy, and then just drag it down, so it's by itself. And then you're gonna drag the main camera and drag it on top of that layer so it's parented to the camera picture, so like that. Okay. And then continue. It has the
parent main camera, new rotation, you can't click the camera control, and remove rotation.
Make sure the camera control is highlighted, and you're going to go to see where it has the rotation up there. You're going to change all of the numbers up there if anything's 0. So the positions, you have to change all of that. So you're looking straight at it.
Y0. Y0 and 0.
Yeah. So X, Y, and Z should be 0.
Y should be 0. No, that's yellow.
You don't need to change the scale, just the position of the event. Right.
Yeah, you can like change the position. Alright.
Look at the main camera.
I think that it says I had to go to the camera editor controls for the main camera. So go to the main camera and right click. The next step is add camera control.
Select the main camera. You can add a script.
we all mess with you see the search field above that when you do the icon, that window, that search class, you can start typing what it's really before and then all of a sudden.